get the people's support, to give the people what they need within reasonable proportions. The more of this can be done, the quicker this struggle will be won. And I'm quite sure that the government, including President Diem, agrees with that. They're trying, but you must remember, and I think all of us ought to, that this government is only 7 years old. And it's very difficult over a period of 7 years to develop the institutions and the people to work all the way from the top to the bottom into the provinces, the districts, and the villages with the necessary competence, and to develop the cadres of people who can carry all of these schemes out. And this is a problem. The government is doing its best, I think, to reach the people in all ways in the social, economic, and political field. And this certainly ought to be encouraged in every way possible.
In spite of the developments of the last few days in Laos, the war in South Vietnam is the key struggle in Southeast Asia. You may have noticed some features there familiar in earlier American attempts to hold off communism: an unpopular, selfish government as in Greece, a wasteful and corrupt use of American money as in Turkey, a great government superiority in arms and equipment as in China, and the policy called by its detractors the no-win policy as in Korea. The United States is following, necessarily, I think, a mixed policy in South Vietnam. Our forces there are reaching towards 7,000, and American prestige is committed beyond recall. If our side should lose, the blow to the United States would be tremendous. Laos, Thailand, and neutral Cambodia probably would be lost to the communists. Burma, India, and Japan would come under extremely heavy pressure. In these circumstances, we have gone very near to the brink of war. Nevertheless, the communists are being left a way out. North Vietnam is being treated as a privileged sanctuary, a phrase you may remember. There's no talk of massive retaliation, another phrase we've heard before. No attempt is being made to incite the American people against China or North Vietnam. We are limiting ourselves to trying to clear an area under communist attack. That is the policy of containment. Now, over the years, this policy could carry with it the dangerous frustrations that it did in Korea. At present, however, the Kennedy administration is satisfied to try to stop the rot, then have South Vietnam gradually go over to the offensive. If this can be done, Washington will be satisfied. If the communists raise the ante, on the other hand, Washington will have to reply in kind. So far, the communist response to this new American participation is to increase the number of attacks and make them larger. That has been sufficient to maintain a balance. The question is, what will they do if American help starts to turn the tide? On this point, the Russians seem to be extremely cautious. They appear to be leery of a larger war breaking out in Southeast Asia. The Chinese may be limited in what they can do by their economic troubles at home, and also by the fact that although they train the North Vietnamese don't especially want them in, since it might later be impossible to get them out. North Vietnam itself, however, has perhaps 400,000 trained soldiers. It could throw in some of them if the communists decide to widen the war. It's possible, of course, that the new communist advances in Laos are an answer to what we are doing in Vietnam. The Chinese and the Russians may have decided to push for a decision in Laos while acting more tentatively in Vietnam. Their answer in Vietnam itself could still be months in coming. In Vietnam, the communists must have hoped originally that the South would fall without attracting much attention and without bringing the United States onto the scene. That hope has been disappointed. In conflicts of this kind, it is the habit of the United States to pour in so much at the top that enough eventually comes out at the bottom to do the job. It appears, though it is by no means certain, that enough time remains for this to happen. In the meanwhile, it is the common people of South Vietnam who must turn their backs on the communists and be brought over to the government's side so that American help can be decisive.
See Kane's 100, and tomorrow night watch the Kraft Music Hall with Perry Como. Perry's guest will be Caterina Valente. Tomorrow at 9, 8 Central Time in color here on NBC. This program was produced by NBC News, which is solely responsible for its content.